morning and happy Thursday, you guys. Now, I know that I was meant to film a video for you all yesterday, but unfortunately I have been doing crazy shifts at work. Everything's like insane at the moment, and I was just so shattered when I got in yesterday that I just felt so rough, so I didn't want to film a video for you all. But I'm here, it's fine, I have tea. Who doesn't love tea in an Ariel mug? Come now. And I thought I would do a sit down talky video with you guys, like a tea time talk kind of vibe, because I feel like sometimes it's nice for us to just have like a sit down talky video. Anyway, with that being said, today's topic I'm going to be talking to you all about tattoos. Now, as you all know, I do love a good tattoo. I do very much love tattoos. Now, on the real talks today, because I'm getting right on those real talks with you all, we're going to talk about tattoo consultations, and I'm going to tell you about a few of my own personal stories of when I've gone to have a consultation to get a tattoo. So, what do you do if you want to get a tattoo? Now, what I would say personally to start off with is to research your artist. Look at everything, look at all their portfolios, look at what kind of style they're into, because the thing is, different artists have different styles. So for example, Rachel Baldwin, who I absolutely love, she did this one on my arm here. She is what I like to call, and I think she would kind of agree if she saw this, is a kawaii artist. So she does very bold colours, very you know, chunky lines, cutesy kind of Japanesey kawaii kind of tattoos. So you wouldn't go to her and say, hey, I want like a fine line drawing of the moon, you know, or I want a fine line drawing of a bunch of flowers, because it's not in her wheelhouse, it's not her style. By the same token, you wouldn't go to another artist who is an American traditional artist and say, hey, I want a photorealistic tattoo, and I want it to be a hawk, and I want it to look, you know, photorealistic, because they all have different things, you know, different skill sets, different types of what they like to do, what their strongest suit is. So never do anything like that. Always research. Always have it in your mind what it is that you want as well. You know, try not to be wishy-washy on it. Try to sit there and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go for a bunch of grayscale, fine line, wild flowers with a very delicate fox cub maybe in the middle of them. So if you've got that in your head and that is what you want, then look for those artists. Now, once you find the artist that you want, always look at their portfolio, always make sure that it is this, you know, the kind of line work you want, that they are good. To me, because of how many tattoos I have, because of how many of my friends are actual tattoo artists, and I've hung around shops since I was probably about 19, to be honest, I can see where a line has been blown. So I can look at a line and be like, that is not a strong line that they've pulled. That is a blown line. You know, that is shaky. And whilst, like I said to you guys a little earlier, they're not photocopy machines, they're not going to be bang on perfect every single time, you can still get an idea of how they pull a line. You can still get an idea of whether or not they can bang that line in, you know, near enough sort of perfect so that it doesn't look warped or misshapen or anything like that, you know, and whether or not they can keep the consistency as well, because you don't want someone who starts off with a thin line and then blows it and it gets really thick. That is awful. I have a few of those on this tattoo, you know, where lines have dropped out, where he's not done the line weight correctly. You know, it's all a learning curve. But basically, once you've decided, right, okay, that is my artist, I like the look of their work, also make sure that you've seen healed versions of their work, because that will show you how it heals. Because, yeah, you know what, it might look fresh as all heck when it's first done, and you might look at it and go, that's an amazing tattoo. But then when it heals, maybe all the colour's leached out because they've not been very good at saturation, they've not managed to bang that colour in properly. You know, sorry, my tea mug's falling over. Anyway, So maybe their colour saturation is bad, maybe it's patchy, maybe they've missed spots, maybe it's not healed great. And whilst I do understand, and trust me, I know this, a lot of people are idiots when it comes to healing their tattoos, and a majority of it is down to how you as an individual heal it. But there are still certain subtle things that you can pick up on as to whether or not it's because of how it's healed, because of what someone's done to it, as opposed to the artist has not done it correctly. So always make sure that you see a healed picture of their work, because that's going to give you a good guideline. So anyway, say you found your tattooist and you know what you want, and you've got your reference material, and you've sat there and you're like, yep, that's cool, want that. Go and make an appointment with them. Now, a lot of tattooists won't charge for an appointment, for a consultation, but some do. Now, this I do 100% disagree with. I think that's ridiculous. If you're having a consultation with someone because you want to use them, you should not have to pay for that privilege. That is the moment that I will walk away. If they sit there and say to me, okay, that's fine, you can have a consultation, but it's a £30 consultation fee. Nah, hun, I'm good. Namaste right here. Bye. Because at the end of the day, why should I pay you for coming up with the design when I'm not going to keep that design? Because the thing is, a lot of artists won't give you the design, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that, you know, so that if you do walk away from that appointment and you don't want what they want to do for you, you don't have that to take to another artist. That's fine. That's self-preservation at the end of the day, because they're not going to give you their hard-earned work of them drawing it for you to then go to a different artist and be like, hey, can you tattoo this? Like, they're not going to do it. It's pure business sense, so that's fine. But if you want me to pay you for a consultation and then pay you again to actually do the work, I'm good. I'm good. I don't need that negativity in my life. So this is exactly what happened to me once, when I was, how old was I? I think I was 18. I think it was literally just after I turned 18. I'd wanted tattoos since I was 16. I'd been planning tattoos since I was 16. And one day, me and my friend went into Brighton, and I was like, I'm going to get this tattoo. And I was bricking it, absolutely bricking it, because I had no idea what my pain threshold would be like. As I know now, it's amazingly high, that's great. But at the time, I was like, I don't know what my pain threshold is. I don't know if I can cope with this. Like, what the heck? It's like a procedure. It's crazy. But I decided one morning that I was going to go get a tattoo done. So I got up with my friend, went into Brighton. I'm not going to name the tattooist, I'm not going to name the shop, because I don't feel like I need to. I don't feel like that's a good thing for me to do, because at the end of the day, people operate differently, and it's not that I received a bad service, it's that I felt like they were coming it a bit because I was a tattoo virgin. So I'm not going to name and shame. I don't think that's good. I don't want to put negativity out on this channel, if I'm honest. But we went to this particular one, and he said to me, you're going to have to give me £30 for a consultation. And at 18, like, not really knowing any different, I didn't want to offend him by being like, nah, hun, you're good. So I was like, okay, stupidly. So I booked the consultation for 2 o'clock that afternoon. I mean, we'd gone in at 10 a.m. So we went round, you know, have a bit of lunch, do a bit of shopping, that kind of thing. So we went back for this consultation. I gave him £30, and he sat down and we had this consultation. Now, the thing is, what I wanted was, I'm a huge My Chemical Romance fan. I still am. Like, it is still fresh. I could not deal with all the, like, feelings about their breakup. But Black Parade was my thing. Like, it's my unicorn album. Like, it is the album that I will always listen to. I love it. And James Jean, as an artist, who is the artist who did everything for the Black Parade, amazing, amazing guy, and creepy and awesome, and I loved it. I loved the artwork, I loved everything, I loved what it stood for. So I wanted, and I will insert a picture the marching Black Parade skeleton. That's what I wanted. So I said to him, hey, you know, this is what I want, and I love My Chemical Romance and blah blah, and we were sat and we were talking and everything like that. And again, I just walked into this tattoo shop. I didn't know anything about styles, line weights, black and grey colour. I knew nothing, because I just knew that I wanted a tattoo. That's kind of it. So I went in, we sat down, we had this consultation, and I said to him, hey, I'm thinking like maybe sort of this big, you know, like nothing crazy, like just, you know, about this big. And instantly he's like, no, I can't do it that big. And I was like, oh, well, okay, cool, like how big can you do it? I swear not. He wanted it to go from my wrist to just above my elbow. Just above my ditch, sorry. Let me get correct for you guys. Just above my ditch. That is huge. And I literally sat there and was like, huh, I see. Now, apart from the fact that is aesthetically ridiculous, like aesthetically ridiculous, he would end up with his face in my ditch where I was like squishing him. That's just, it doesn't sit right at all. But at the age of 18, I was like, I see. Because what else can you do? So I'm like, oh, okay, cool, dude, cool. Yep. And he's like, that's the only way I can get all of the, you know, all the detail in. Okay. Well, the fact that I've seen people up on Pinterest and what have you who have the same tattoo, who it is literally the size that I indicated, and it looks absolutely fine, you know, that's fine. But you're a professional, dude, so I'm going to give you a chance here. So I was like, okay. And literally, not only to go from there to there, but he wanted it like as wide as my arm. Now my arms are not very wide. I have tiny arms, right? So I'm like, okay. And he was like, it's literally going to be a day session. I'm like, right. And I was like, well, can I have like a banner with it? Because I wanted the lyrics, because the world will never take my heart, because that's like my favourite lyrics from Black Parade. And he was like, no, can't fit that in. Oh, okay, dude. So everything I was asking him for, he was categorically like, no. But he wouldn't really give me an answer as to why. It was just no. So I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to shift every so often. I can't sit here like this because I'm old. So I was like, okay, fine. And he drew it all up, and it was just insane. Just insane. And he wanted to charge me something along the lines of £800 for it. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, that's insane. Like, I'm 18 years old. Do you think I have £800 to spend on a tattoo? A tattoo when you know that it's my first tattoo, because we've spoken about that. You don't know if I can handle that pain. What happens if you did the outline and then I couldn't sit for anything else? That's crazy. Like, can you imagine? I would have ended up like just mullering my arm. So I'm like, okay. So I'm just listening to him, and he's like, yeah, you know, I can fit you in like literally like tomorrow morning. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, you know, when you're just literally like, cool, dude. But really in your head you're like, this is not cool. This is in no way cool. I cannot deal with this. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. So it got to the point where we were kind of just talking it over and over. And everything that I sort of asked for, it was a categorical no. It was, well, can I bring a friend with me? No. Oh. And the thing is, the studio was big. It wasn't a tiny pokey hokey kind of studio, it was a big studio. So there was enough room for someone to sit nearby, right? So I was like, well, I'm not being funny, but I suffer with anxiety. You know, it would really help me if I could just have someone in the room with me, because, you know, it's my first tattoo. And he was literally like, yeah, we all have anxiety. Oh, do we now? Are we starting a club? Hey, guy. So I was like, he was just very like, to the point, maybe is the word. Very to the point, very much like meh. So in the end, it got to the point where he wanted me to pay a deposit. Now most studios will say to you, okay, like £20 deposit maybe. No, he wanted half of it up front. And that was the moment that I was like, I don't think you're being genuine here, fella. You've already got £30 out of me. So it was at that point that I was literally like, no, I'm not going to continue with you actually. I don't like your attitude, be fair. And I just turned around to him and was like, you're not the artist for me. Like, I got a bit of gumption after all of that. And even my friend was kind of, because she was very meek and mild, unlike me. I've always been the sort of mother wolf out of all of my friends. That's what they call me, is Mama Wolf. So I was like, I'm not doing this. This feels shady as all hell. Like, I do not trust you. I do not trust you to do a good job. No. So I did. I just literally was like, you know what? I'm going to take the hit of losing that £30. He never gave me the thing he had drawn up, which, you know, I mean, technically I'd paid £30 for it. So, you know, but it's fine. He can keep that. I don't care. So I literally got up and was like, no, and just walked out. And I must admit, that put me off for a while, actually, of actually going and getting a tattoo. It put me off for ages, because I was like, oh God, what happens if all tattooists are like that? What happens if that's just what happens? What happens if, like, you know, you just think all these kind of scenarios over. And I was just like, I don't get it. So it put me off for a very, very long time. So I didn't actually get my first tattoo till I was about 19 and a half or something. My point is, never let somebody bully you into doing something that you don't want to do. Like, a lot of artists nowadays, if they're worth their weight, they don't show you the design before you get there. Now, with me and my anxiety, I am terrible. I will literally be like, I need to see this design. You know, my tattooist Adam is the sweetest, nicest guy you can ever come across, right? And I literally messaged him when he did my thigh piece and he had it all like done. It was literally a week before my appointment, and I was like, hey, have you got my design? And he was like, yeah, it's cool. And I was like, no mate, I want to see it. And he was like, oh okay. And he sent it over and it was fine, and there was only one thing in it that I didn't want, and I was like, Adam, I don't want that. And he was like, that's fine, and he took it out. But I always feel a bit bad having to turn around to him and be like, you need to show me this design. I'm having palpitations, dude. But he puts up with my crazy, but he's so lovely anyway, so that's fine. And always find an artist that you get on with on a different level. You know, never pick someone who's just in it for the money, essentially. Do it because they love the art. But like I say that you do get into this situation where they've designed your tattoo for you, you've not seen it beforehand, you've gone in and they've done something completely different to what you want. Do not feel obligated to put that on your body. That will be on your body for the rest of your life. So never ever sit there and go, oh, it's not really what I want, but okay, you've drawn it now, let's put it on there. That's ridiculous. Like, I would rather walk away and save my skin and lose my deposit than ever sit there and look at something on my skin and go, I regret that. Like, that is awful. You know, I would rather do that, to be honest. And I would encourage you lot to do that as well. Speak up, be vocal. Even to the point where, say you've gone in and you love the design and everything's fine, and you say to them, hey, you know what, I'm going to get it on this arm here. And they're like, cool, okay. And they put it on, and you look in the mirror and you're like, ooh, I don't like that. I don't like the position of it. I don't like the placement. Why don't you like the positioning of it? Do you need it slightly back maybe, slightly forward? Do you want it down? Do you want it up? You know, communication is the key. If not, you could even look at it and go, hey, I don't really like it there. Is there any chance we can move it to a different part of my body? You don't have to be aggro about it. You don't have to be like crazy. So like I say, always don't get aggro with your artists, but always sit there and just say, oh, I'm not really feeling that. I don't really think it fits there. I don't like the look of that. If that is the case, I mean, obviously if it's not, crack on. But if that's the case, then don't be scared to sit there and be like, I don't like that, can we do something about it? Because there is no point you going ahead with a tattoo that you are going to regret, and then when you do regret it, end up slagging the artist off by being like, oh well, you know, they've not done it right. No, you should have really spoken up if you didn't want it there or you didn't like a certain thing. But like I say, when you go for your consultation, right up until when you're actually getting tattooed, it is perfectly acceptable before that needle hits your skin, and whilst like the stencil is on and everything, it's perfectly acceptable for you to not like certain things and for you to sit there and say, well, you know what, I don't really like that bit of it. Is there any chance we can change it? Is there any chance we can do this, we can do that? Even if, and some artists will do this, if you turn up having not seen your design before you get there and you just do not like the design, they will reschedule your appointment. That is fine. They are perfectly fine with doing that. They will say, well, okay, I'll go back to the drawing board. They'll give you a little bit more of a talk through and go, okay, well, what is it you don't like about it? What would you like me to change about it? And you can have sort of another mini consultation about it, and then they'll book you back in for another time, because that's fine. Like, they're not going to want to do something and put something on your skin that you are going to regret, and you are going to then take to social media and bash them and say, this person did this and it's awful and I regret it and blah blah blah. It's not very often that people actually sit there and say, well, it was my mistake because I didn't speak up. It was my mistake because I let it go ahead. They will always blame the artist. Always. You know, also have clear communication about stuff. If my battery is dying, that is all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up for me. It really does help me make more videos for you guys. Also, if you haven't already and you feel like you would like to, go ahead and click that big red subscribe button for me in the corner. It makes me all warm and fuzzy inside. And until next time, guys, when we have another sit down talk over tea or do anything else, then I will check you later. So check ya.